guess we're waiting for Bob.
Yeah, we'll wait for Bob. Because now I can put the tweet out, and then everyone can retweet it. There we go.
It's been a hot second since we've been on here together, huh?
That's for sure.
It definitely has. It's man, we're all older now.
Bob's wiser. I don't know.
I'm geriatric.
Yeah, I didn't want to say it, but I'm glad you did.
Yeah. I got a better beard than I was able to grow before, so
I haven't shaved
happy about that.
6 weeks.
Oh wow!
Just can't grow it.
And Lefty, you've got one at least one in college right now.
Yeah. Wow. Suddenly, life went from like having kids in diapers to having kids in college. It's cheaper to pay for diapers.
It is a lot cheaper.
Yeah, she's up in Michigan, studying art. It's a good setup for her.
She enjoying herself?
Is she enjoying herself? Quite a lot.
Yes. Oh, good. Not too much, I guess, for her own good.
Well, she's still a good student, but
good.
Yeah, it's been different. It's been an adjustment. I think life is all about adjustments, right? We talk about compromise being a dirty word until you have to figure out how to compromise and make life happen. And then compromise is what is actually a real word. And so it's kind of where I'm working through. And yeah, doing other things in life, leading a church now.
In the Chicago area?
Yeah, Oak Park. Doing some fun things. Got some fun ideas for a couple of business ventures I want to launch in the next, 6 months.
Wow.
I've got a decent sized crypto book. Yeah, all of the things. And then I still look at the screens every day. So why?
I saw Sequoia allocated $500 million to crypto.
Oh, where was that headline?
It was just announced. It was just in the headlines today in Bloomberg. It was early. It was early on, right around open or just before the open.
Yeah, I also saw that. I think I saw that there was going to be a regulation,
an executive order
by the Biden administration.
Yeah, I don't have. I have no knowledge of what it's going to be.
Yeah, you're not a politician, so you can't trade ahead of the news.
But yeah, I saw that too. It was like they were going to do. I think I have it in one of my chats. Biden to issue an executive order regulating crypto. So we'll see. I don't really know what
Mark, is this going to be available via that other link that you gave me on the subscription page? Is that where it's going to be?
Yeah. I tweeted out the live link.
Okay.
Just now?
Yeah.
I don't see it.
Oh, I do.
Oh, I see it now.
It's on my thingy. So. Yeah, I don't know. I've had a shitty week. I don't know about you guys, but it's been
all right. So we actually have Ryan in here, 614 Capital. I mean, that guy's amazing. I love it when other traders actually have my cell phone number and then they text me because they don't want to tweet at me. I appreciate that, Ryan. Oh, you can type back to him? That's cool.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty awesome.
This is actually a lot cleaner than our last setup. Oh, and I got myself a little yeah, I know, I just left you hanging there, but I got myself this cute little light that I can use to make myself look even sexier than before.
Oh, yes.
Let's see if I can figure out how to turn it on.
Is it one of those round things?
Oh, yeah, it is. Oh, man. It really makes me look like an influencer. Oh, yeah.
Did your daughters teach you how to use that?
Man, oh, man. My nose is even bigger. I think I read that noses and ears never stop growing. So there
They
you go.
do not. Cartilage.
Just so we're clear, I scratched 01s 5 times and I'm out. I'm done. Ryan, thanks for stopping by. We appreciate it. You can tip us on your way out. We take crypto and we take, oh my good Lord, one of my favorite follows.
I know. I asked him.
Just signed in.
So I asked him to be part of a BTFD conspiracy theory show.
Dude, you gotta like my thread, by the way. What the hell? Why have you not interacted with that killer thread I've got running?
Because I mean, it's
you're
good.
afraid of getting banned.
Yeah, I'm trying not to get banned.
Yeah, you are. I'm not.
Twitter already hates me. Look, if I say anything stupid, I no longer get like a 12-minute ban. I get a 7-day ban. Period.
According to who?
Twitter itself, like, locks me out, and then it counts down.
For what have you done, Mock?
Yeah, for real.
I mean, apparently, if you tell someone that you wish they would fall off a bridge or something like that, like, Twitter gets very offended.
I mean, I had to nicely and delicately put out one of my last ones about Alex Jones because I definitely didn't want to get axed for that one. But yeah, whatever. Okay, so what are you actively trading these days, Bob?
I am actively trading. I pretty much trade three items. I trade and occasionally YM, but ES, NQ, and crude occasionally. Although crude, I was in and out once today, but I've been kind of steering clear for the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Let's talk about crude real quick. What is your overall? What's up, LaShawn? What's your overall opinion on where crude goes? Did you see the clip that came out yesterday afternoon about the 84.74 put spread vertical that somebody dropped 20 million on yesterday?
I didn't see that tweet. I didn't see that.
It was a Bloomberg article. Let's see if I have it still. I do. Hey, Muck, if I send this to you, can you put it up on your screen?
I can try.
All right, I'm just going to text it to you. Matt Thomas. Should I say your name on it? I mean, never mind. Yeah, basically it was, I'll read it out to you. It was the 73.83 put spread in May. Single block traded 5,000 times. That's a pretty big trade.
That's a huge trade. Well, what the key element going on, I think, in crude that's really kind of almost somehow is below the headlines is the Iranian deal, which now today I saw a number of headlines from the Iranians, interestingly enough, saying that they were getting closer, and that is very odd for them to say unless it is getting close. I'm not sure exactly what their motivation is to get a deal, but it seems to be progressing, and that would of course be a lot more crude that would hit the market. It wouldn't be sweet, but it would.
Hey Bob, what is that April, May? I'm sorry, Ryan. I don't think it's April, May. It's just May. It's the May put spread. And I think that spread would then be struck against the May contract. Is that correct, Bob?
I think that's right.
Yeah, I mean, it had 600 in open interest as of before yesterday, and then somebody came through and put a $17 million 5,000 lot block trade through. It was interesting. We were talking this morning, and I don't remember which Twitter personality I was chiming in with, but we were talking about the idea of when there's no price discovery anymore because no one has it. The reality is there's a ton of price discovery. If you got enough money, the CME will give you that price discovery. They'll trade block spreads with you. They'll let you see the deep books. But even as a market maker back in the day, I didn't have enough money to have access to that data and never had a chance to we didn't even get the call. We knew it was going down. We just couldn't get the call. And
what is the number that you need to get the data?
You have to be willing to, back when I was doing it with the Fed funds, you had to be willing to take down 7,500 outrights or 10 or 12,000 spreads at one price. Now,
Wow.
granted, you're allowed to, let's say I'm looking, and I've tweeted this out a couple of times, but if you're watching the yield curve, you should definitely pull up ZQZ22. It is a barometer for where this thing is trading. And dang it, there goes the never mind. The Ultra Bond just finally took off after I scratched it 5 times. So if it's trading 48 right now, and somebody comes in and prices you up on a 5,000 lot block, you can legitimately make the market 42 bid at 54, and they'll come back and they'll tell you that that's not tight enough or it's tight enough. But
so they'll give you where they want you to be.
Well, they're going to come in and quote it, but let's say they got 5 guys on the line right now, right? They got 5 different guys working the phone. Everybody agrees to 42s. They pepper the lot with 25,000, right? What are you going to do? You got to rush to the Eurodollars. You got to rush somewhere. We're going to take off here, by the way, boys.
All of a sudden I saw that we dropped heavy.
Yeah, something's going on. I'd love to see crude settle in the 88 handle. I'd actually love to see it settle below 88.
There's certainly downward pressure on it. That is for damn sure.
Yeah, but it's interesting because net long versus net short still looks like it's like 45-55. Slightly net short, but that's not doesn't give me a ton of hope that we're actually going lower.
Well, one of the big players in crude internationally, my understanding is he's basically flat. Andorran is basically flat. Now, Vitol was talking earlier today. I really don't have any insight on where their books are set, but they were talking up their position. I don't know what they were on. I don't know if they were on Bloomberg European session or what. I didn't see it. They're saying there is something that just hit about the Biden executive order on crypto. It's nothing new, just delegates the committees. In fact, it's positive because Yellen, who's not pro crypto, blah blah blah, nothing.
Do executive orders really only have do they even have a lot of teeth?
Well, it theoretically it could, but it's sounding like the view is that it's not going to have any heft to it at all. They don't know what to do with it yet, I think.
I mean, let's be honest. They know exactly what they want to do with it. They want to regulate it. They want to monitor it, and they want to tax it.
Well, they're going to do the last.
Yeah, I mean, I think ZR1 Trader has consistently been a Monero fan, or Monero. I think that's how you say it. And because it's technically untraceable, in theory. I still believe the CIA says and sees everything, or the NSA or whatever it is.
NSA.
I agree. They don't want Russia to use it. That's exactly right. They don't want Canadians to use it either, apparently. What a shit show that is, by the way.
I still don't get that one. And apparently the Canadian banks are all hemorrhaging money now. They don't have enough money.
Well, no, we work on a fractional banking system, dude. There's never enough money. It's your money is loaned to Bob, which I loaned out from Bob, and then Bob turned around to try to make a withdrawal, and they gotta hit me up to get the money back so that you can get paid. It's like it's a mess.
Huge Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, it is. It's a Ponzi scheme, and the question is, can you stay out? Can you get out before you get burned?
Well, there used to be a concept. When I went to school back in the 30s, called velocity of money, but the velocity of money has basically stopped.
There is no velocity of money. I actually think that's a brilliant point. I think it'd be interesting to see a side-by-side comparison with the velocity of money and long-term volatility in the market. Because long-term vol has essentially gone to zero. The trade coming out of the financial crisis sell vol anytime it pops, right? And it basically has gotten to the point where anytime vol pops, if you don't sell it and take your heat for 2 days, when you do want to sell it, there's no bid. It just vanishes. I made that argument a long time ago that, if you think about yield curve volatility, right? It's a smile. I know I'm going to use my hands. It's a little wonky, right? We're at the money's in the ditch. The puts are really high. The calls have that dredge.
Yeah.
Realistically, it looks like this, right? There's no vol in the middle, and then there's infinite vol on the edges. Because they turn off the machines.
So, well, they've already done that. They did that in the flash crash. They've already proven that they want to turn off the machines.
The machines were not running this morning when Russian news was breaking, and I tweeted as much.
The only things that are keeping my portfolio afloat at this moment are my shorts. And
well, you trade equities, right, Mark?
Yeah. I have a ton of puts on the Virgin Galactic Holdings space, and it's actually done well for me. I just rolled some out to next week as well for earnings. Some of my oil plays are actually kind of holding in there today. They're down a little bit, but that's holding. But my bigger positions, Apple and 3M and some other ones, are just getting just obliterated on a daily basis.
Well, Apple, people are still acquiring Apple, so if market does turn, it's going to turn.
I'm looking at setting up a new short in Upstart. I'm just waiting for an entry that I like. It's I just think they have a bad business model of loaning out people large sums of money to consolidate outstanding credit at a interest rate that is technically a floating rate. And when interest rates hikes come, those floating rates are going to really move, and those people are going to default on those loans. But they've already paid out the money to Visa and Amex and
haven't those rates already moved, irrespective of what the Fed does? The rates have already moved.
Yeah, 30-year mortgages jumped 15 bips already.
But that's what's doing the Fed's work for it right now, right? Is bond traders.
Yeah, the traders are trading ahead of it. I think Upstart and Affirm is a big buy now pay later company, and 95% of those don't make it past the first. They make it past the first buy now pay later, but they're defaulting on the second and thirds at like massive rates.
Is that right? I haven't. Where's that available, Mark? Do you have a link that you can give us?
It was on their earnings report, and they said that and he even said it on, I think their CFO said it on CNBC. It was like they brought it up that a large number are defaulting, and he's like, well, it's a supply demand issue. So if we feel like our defaults are going up, we just turn off that button so you can't do it anymore. And then we bring it back. And I was like, that's not that. I mean, that's your whole like risk arbitrage there, is like you turn off the buy now pay later to a Southwest
heroin dealer
or Glamour or jewelry companies, and you just don't let people do it. And then when you feel like your books are straight, you turn it back on. It's confusing, but yeah, I'll find the numbers. There's a ton of research out on it that the buy now pay later is turned out to buy now pay never. Which I felt like I knew it would, because you're only really wrecking someone's credit score, and if the people don't have the money to buy it anyways right now, do they really care about their credit score?
Hey, Lefty, we had a conversation about 2 weeks ago, and you had some thoughts that I thought were very relevant to people playing the markets in, as far as rates go. We've kind of touched on it a little bit, but I'd like to get you to share your thoughts on what the Fed's going to do.
Yeah, I mean, I spent a whole bunch of years watching the Fed funds. Right now, December is pricing in 6 full hikes, 6 quarter-point hikes before the end of the year, but before the end of 22. Six quarter-point hikes, and that doesn't even include a move to the standardization of 25 basis points, which we currently have a floating rate on. So if you look at February right now is going off at 91 and the orders at 92. So it's basically saying there's a 0.08, and they're trying to move us to 1.5 before the end of the year. Somebody's off sides. And I tweeted out yesterday a schedule that you are going to have to hold to if you're going to do moves on meetings only based on where the forward contracts are priced. And I'll see if I can pull it up, but basically market meetings, let's see if we got it here. So your next meeting is March 16th, I think.
And that would have to be a 50 bip, right? To keep on the schedule?
Yeah, ish. It's not quite priced there. All right, let's see if I can find this. Didn't anticipate that question, Bob. That's a good one, though.
Well, no, just what you're saying, man. I just want to give a shout out to a buddy of mine, Adam, who is joining us from Bend, Oregon.
Bend, Oregon. All right, so your meetings are March 16th, May 4th, June 15th, right? You're going to do 25 in March, 50 in May, 25 in June, 25 in Sep, and 25 in Nov. And then there's leakage for that December 22 or January 23 meeting. So, I mean, dude, that's a lot of hikes. So here's my question. Who does that hike? Who has to pay the higher interest rate? Sure, the consumer does, but we're talking about buying houses. We're not talking about it's my understanding that the Fed, who owns that paper, is going to be the people who have to pay on that interest rate hike. Why are you going to raise rates on yourself? Now I understand the other side. Like, we're getting smacked around with inflation. Gas is approaching $4 in Chicago. I don't know where it's at, where you guys are at. It's $5 for muck. In Bum Hills, Kentucky, wherever Bob's at, it's probably $2.94. But
I'm in the land of milk and honey in beautiful Connecticut.
All right. But yeah, so I just think it's really interesting. I saw a graph come out. I think I was on Bloomberg the other day. Who the number one holder of our sovereign debt is? It caught me off guard. Do you know who it is?
I thought it's not us.
Apart from us.
Is it still Japanese?
Japan used to own it.
It's Japan again.
Yeah.
Well, that's because China
started China in the last 2 or 3 years. They just overtook them, and so.
Well, China started cutting the amount of paper it was holding, I
think. Do you think we go to like 1 to 1.5% to cut back down?
You mean the theory that we're going to stick bullets in the holster by absolutely crushing everything we know? Like, that seems like a dumb idea. I'm not on your end. I'm just saying, like, we missed our opportunity. We also, I really love, so crypto guys are often talking about pump and dump schemes, and they're often talking about like how much of the coin has been minted recently. I love the comparison to crypto and the US dollar when 50% of all dollars in circulation were printed in the last 18 months. It's like, oh yeah, no wonder we're having inflation. So
I mean, I think it only gets worse from, in the near term, because I have to tell you, people here, it was like COVID didn't even happen. I mean, it happened in terms of it changed their practical doings during the day, but they didn't lose any money due to it. None. In fact, they made more money because of the liquidity that was placed in the system.
I like this question. Insights on the housing market after a 50% increase in the last 2 years of really cheap mortgages. What do I think about it? So I live outside of Chicago on the west side of the city. The east side of Oak Park is the western side of Chicago proper. There are homes that range, I think a mid-level home here is like 400. And I think a top end in the Oak Park and River Forest tops out at probably right around 2 mil. There is no inventory. There is none. There is no inventory, especially in that like super sexy 750 to 1.2, 1.3. There's like 5 homes for sale in 2 neighborhoods. It's like
there around my area here in San Diego, there used to be like 36 homes for sale. Now there's 1, and it's just just got listed. My parents are selling one of our properties in Lake Arrowhead, in the mountains here. There's only 20 houses in the entire Lake Arrowhead region for sale. But also,
I mean, that is such a small number. I mean, Lake Arrowhead's got a lot of housing, right? Doesn't it have about 6,000 houses?
Something like that, especially around the lake. There's a lot of housing. A friend of mine just bought a place in Salt Lake City, and he said the housing prices in Salt Lake, I mean, probably take it for what it is, but went up from 2000 to 2001, went up a couple 100%, and now we're back at like 2019 prices. So they went up and then down on, just lack of people. A lot of people were leaving California with restrictions and stuff like that and moving to other places, which also inventory decline and you get housing spikes. I don't know. I think a lot of the inventory was bought up. BlackRock bought up a whole bunch of houses.
Well,
and are now just landlords.
That's a very interesting point. I mean, it's not just BlackRock. BlackRock is just an indicator. But yes, with all the free money floating around, it just, hedge funds, whatever.
But they were even doing it. They were even doing it in 08 when they could go to a bank and go to like Marietta, California, or like the Inland Empire and just say, hey, we'll buy this whole block for you at cost, and you don't have to carry it anymore. I mean, essentially saying we'll take on the taxes and we'll redo it, and they're not letting go of the inventory.
Right, but what happened recently in the last 2 years is that they dedicated money and they dedicated professionals to go into certain areas in the country. I know Nashville, for instance, where I used to live, they went in heavy and bought a ton of property. I guess ostensibly because they were going to run them as landlords for a while, so they would place the people there to run them and et cetera, et cetera. But they picked out spots, and they also picked out spots near me in Fairfield County, and they started grabbing up all types of property. And that, of course, has an impact of reducing the amount available and generally increasing the price.
Yeah, I'm with Brian too. When Zillow got snagged in the house flipping setup, it just kind of shows you that, again, we're all trying to play with the same house money. And when the bottom falls out, it's going to fall hard. Something's got to give. You can't have $90 crude. You can't have energy costs that are absolutely exploding and interest rates that are supposed to go up. They don't go the same direction. So something's got to give. Housing's got to give. Vegas has under 2,000 active listings. I just looked at Oak Park and River Forest for houses. Dude, there's nothing. There's like 8 homes over $750,000, and there's 25 under that price. And I'm not talking about apartments and townhomes. I'm talking about homes, structures with land.
Yeah.
So
I think it's just I think Zillow tried to market make like they saw people do in the equities and the futures market to housing, and I just don't think you can do that with something that's that illiquid.
Well, their turnaround time was quite short too, though, right? I mean, they were looking to really flip them within, I think within like a 15 to 18-month timeline is what ideally what they wanted to accomplish.
Hey, to Lewis's point, I appreciate that comment that rates could go up 1% in one hike like they did in the 80s. Dude, Volcker and Greenspan aren't around. Like I'm a student of the short-term interest rate game. It will never in this current environment, it will never happen. The last thing the Fed wants to do, they had an emergency meeting on Valentine's Day, maybe
Monday.
Yeah,
but it was scheduled.
Yeah, but let's be honest. Like the last thing they want to do is destroy whatever small ounce of credibility they have, because it's eroding right now on its own. And the idea that they would move it, I could see a market move. I could see a meeting move of 50 bips. I could not see an intermeeting pull of more than 25 basis points going out.
Well, even towards the end of Greenspan, they got to a point where they would tell the market almost everything ahead of time, and they've just carried on that. Where it's not like they used to, on a random Wednesday just bang the rate around. Everything has gotten so scripted that they have to prep. Almost start speaking months in advance before they pull the trigger on everything.
Yeah, I mean, my brothers and I own some rental properties, and we dumped them we dumped a sizable chunk. Now we're looking to reinvest and we're looking to buy some other properties, but if the buyer comes, man, it feels toppy. As somebody who's been out here for a while, it feels toppy. I would love to sell my house this year. I would love to go rent. Unfortunately, there's just too many of us. That's a kid problem.
But getting all your stuff out of the house would be hell. That would just be hell.
You know what I want to start doing, Bob? So every year on January 1st, I order Girl Scout cookies from the same little girl. I bought 27 boxes this year. So, and she just graduated. So if you need something, or if you're in my area and you want to sell Girl Scout cookies, I'm your guy. So I buy Girl Scout cookies and I flip my hangers backwards in my closet. I know, whatever. But if I don't wear that shirt by the time I'm flipping hangers again the next year, I toss it. And I want to start getting a dumpster once a year in the spring and just fill the dumpster. Those little cloth ones that you put on your front lawn and they like build up.
Yep.
Toys, junk. I don't even care about selling it. It's not about the money. I just want to dump it.
Yeah, get rid of stuff. I mean, I have to tell you, as a person who moved a lot over the last 25 years, that was the best thing. The first time I moved, of course, it was my wife was changing jobs, and we just took everything. I'll just pack it up, and it was no problem. But then thereafter, we just used every move as an opportunity to just get rid of massive amounts of crap. But of course, now I've been in this house for 5 years, and it just starts building up again.
Well, yeah, I mean, look at our home offices that we're trading out of, right? You've got a pile of books behind you, so does Muck, so do I. It's like, yeah, you accumulate stuff over the years. Yeah, LaShawn, dude, I'm 100% with you. A, the houses aren't worth $1 million. 2, they're not going to raise rates that fast. I've got a sister-in-law who's in the mortgage industry, absolutely cranking right now. And I think you start to see demand get squishy unless we get another stimmy check or we somehow get UBI on the table, I don't see how the housing market doesn't have a correction, especially with rates that are popping. I just got a text from our old friend Plunger, and he said he'll be home in 20 minutes. So if we're still live, he'll hop on for the last 30 seconds. All right, enough on interest rates and housing. We talked a little bit about crude. We talked a little bit about equities. You guys want to talk about how good the Bulls look this year?
The Bulls look very good.
The Bulls look good. Better than the Cubs.
I hear they're going to get. I read today that Tristan Thomas
Tristan Thompson.
Tristan Thompson. I'm sorry. Who just being released, in the process of being released by the Pacers, is going to sign with the Bulls. I don't know if that's true or not.
How do I chat, by the way?
Yeah, I can't.
Can you see it on the side, or is it just me because I'm the host?
I see it.
It's just you. I see it. I'm reading it. The correction in housing will last as long as there are still people who have not suffered any pain. The market will stay irrational. Maybe Kathy Wood will start buying some houses too. Called a tech investment.
How? What the fuck is?
Oh.
Her best thing was today when she said that her firm is doing some other type of research that nobody else is doing, and so my retort to the person who quoted her was, "What, Ouija boards?" I mean, because I don't know what the fuck she's doing.
Twitter has Spaces now, and it's interesting. I went into one with some of the ARC PM managers and research analysts were having, and they were talking about Kakara automation. Holy fuck. Like, those are very smart dudes, but those dudes can't see the forest from the trees. They were breaking down individual like parking spaces in like a multi-level parking garage, saying that your car will know which space is available to take you to the quickest one. And I was like, I don't know if anyone really needs that, or if that's like a massive thing. Like they were just like finite minutiae and so much shit. And I was like, you're looking at details, but you're not looking at like, is this company going to be profitable anytime in the next millennia?
I actually think that's a really good point. And I think that venture cap guys that I talk to, I've got a couple of really powerful venture cap friends. One's based out of Dallas, one here in Chicago. They judge the character of these people way more than they worry about the little tiny BS that's sitting out there right now. Whether they're talking about the parking spots, and a lot of these guys are in blockchain technology. A lot of them are in shipping and logistics. There's some brilliant stuff. My buddy just said he turned down a beautiful deal because he didn't trust the guy who was at the helm of the company. I mean, I'll tell you what, it makes sense to me. The Fed will lose credibility by not raising rates more than 1%. Is that for the Lewis? I see that. Is that for the year, or is that in one shot? I will sell your one shot, and I will sell your year. So there you go.
Well, you already owe me 2 dinners.
They have no credit. They have no credibility.
Did rates move?
You're gonna be owing me 2 dinners.
No, rates haven't moved yet, Muck.
Hold your breath, Muck. Hold your breath.
No, I think that's I think you need the credibility. I think is more important in that space.
How do they get it back? How?
I don't know.
It's impossible.
The other thing that I didn't understand about the Kathy interview, and I literally only watched like maybe 5 minutes of it, was when he brought up the inverse ARC. It's a SARC. And he's like, how do you feel about a lot of people buying into an inverse U ETF? And she's like, well, it's not inversing me. I I was like, but it is inversing every idea that you have. And she tried to turn it into like that the SARK, and I always call it SNARK, but the SARK ETF is just an inverse in innovation. And I was like, I don't think it is. I think it's inverse in your positions that were bought at the high.
I tell you, I have I get some insight into her trades, and I have to tell you, I just watching her trades, it's unnerving. I mean, flipping positions within a week and a half, 2 week period, significant sums. I don't know what the hell she's doing. And
well, doesn't she have to do that since she's an ETF? Where maybe she should have just done this as a hedge fund and not have to like rebalance daily or.
This is not about rebalancing. This is about her trying to time the market, with huge sums of stock. 2 billion, 4 billion.
But hang on. Once again, people at that level of trading and income have options that you and I don't.
Indeed.
I mean, so she's tapping dark pools. One of my best friends here in Chicago runs 600 million for Morgan Stanley. Dude, his trades never hit the tape. Never. Not once.
He matches it all internally, I'm assuming, through Morgan's dark pool, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But let's be clear about that, Lefty, and I know you know this, but let's be clear to everybody else, is while they don't hit the tape per se, they don't run through the big board. I mean, those flows hit the market, impact the market significantly.
100%. The problem is that you and I are left holding the bag, and we open it up and it's nothing but donkey shit.
No transparency.
That's right.
Didn't I see yesterday? Yesterday was it? It may have been yesterday. May have been the day before. 67% of the identified volume went through dark pools.
I am not surprised whatsoever.
No. And then you think if it was 67, we got 20% running through the market. Like how much of that was my buddy Griffith, Kenny G just jamming it through, moving the market around. I don't know. I'm telling you, the market is a dangerous place. It's a dangerous place. The more I learn about it, the more I realize I know nothing. Zero.
Well, I think back to when I used to. I started trading in the late 90s. I borrowed $1,000 from each of my siblings and $2,000 from my dad. So that stuck me with $6,000. And I was trading in the original tech bubble. And a stock could get listed the first day. Oh, look, it's called Fire Pond. What do they do? I don't know. They're going up. Buy them. It's like, right? And you just buy it and it goes up, and then you try and get out of it. You sell it. Your Ameritrade account's getting hammered. It's hemorrhaging cash, right? But in the end, I left with about $600. I lost 90% of the stake, right? And the problem was that I had a lot of ego and not a lot of knowledge. And I feel like right now you are priming the pump with a lot of dudes who have a ton of ego, who have made a chunk of change, whether it's in crypto or you got long equities or you used your stimmy checks to buy something, and you're sitting there and then it's gone. It doesn't disappear. I mean, you don't have a chance to get out. So
Mr. Market always wins.
I'm way too conspiratorial to believe that statement. I do think I made this comment. I was talking to Gamble Lord, who is my former partner, and I tweet at him occasionally, and occasionally he hops on and yells at me. But I said, isn't it interesting that at some point, and I think I read this somewhere, but big tech has sold off a considerable amount, right? You've got the Facebooks, Twitter's down 50%, Facebook's hemorrhaging, Uber is down. You got all these big tech guys that are down. At some point, all these employees have been compensated in stock that's now underwater. And you realize, like, oh, I just lost 26% of last year's paycheck because my stock went from 326 to 215. And you're like, oh, okay, now what do I do? I would not be surprised. And I tweeted this today. You can timestamp it. It's already out there. If Zuckerberg takes Facebook private.
Can he?
Well, you've had the same thing happen with Amazon. Didn't Amazon just announce that they're going to pay, I don't know what level people these are. They're going to pay them a lot more money because for just that reason. Because Amazon stock has basically been treading water for the last 18 months. And this is going to change the
Facebook public. I mean, private.
Sure, he could. First of all, Facebook's sitting on a pile of cash, absolute hordes of cash, and Zuck's not going to do it himself, right? He's going to pick up 5 big PR or venture cap type private equity guys, and they're going to take it. They're going to do a big deal, and they're going to take it private. It takes all the pressure off of him to release anything. It completely changes the game for him.
Well, and he got killed because of Facebook users going down, and now he doesn't have to. Now you won't have to report that.
That's exactly right. Why would you care if it's not a public company?
And then you could re-IPO again.
I mean, I think they parse it out. I think they parse out Meta. I think they parse out Omni. I think they parse out whatever the timeline BS thing is. They spin them off and they make them they sell them to little private equity guys, private equity shops to do what private equity does, which is chop them up, layer them with debt, and sell them to the public.
I mean, he could just, even if he just spins out WhatsApp and IG as its own company, could kill it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, even if he just bought TikTok, he gets rid of his biggest competitor.
Well, TikTok, he's just getting his clock clean there. So, but to Lefty's point, I mean, by taking it private and then spinning them off, oh my God, he'd make a killing. He'd get back he'd have Facebook almost for free.
Lewis says one shot.
Lewis, I love your optimism. I'm a seller. I'm a seller, and I'll get back on here the day after, and I will apologize profusely to you if it happened. I just don't understand how it happens because you're raising the interest rate on yourself, and to shock the market like that is worse than you've ever done to some green-looking pool at the beginning of the season. We're talking about shock and awe that maybe only Desert Storm or Desert Shield would have been equivalent to. It just doesn't happen. It's not going to happen.
If they do it, the market circuit breaks itself for probably 72 hours.
Yeah, I think you'll see starts and stops, right, for a chunk of time.
But I think it's just going to be like the only thing I can compare it to is when something that MSO trader trades, like a grain or a bean or something like that just goes limit down or limit up for X number of days, right? Where you just can't, it's just boom, boom. Every time it opens, dunk. A 100 bips move would do that to the market for at least 2 days. It would just be limit down on every circuit breaker hit, and then we all go home by 9.
Yeah. So here's my question to Lewis. If that is actually your opinion, by no means you have to trade it, but if that was my opinion and I had that and I was thinking that right now, I would probably be short 1,000 April 22 Fed funds contracts at 58 ish right here. Because a Fed funds contract is worth 41.67 per tick. That's a big boy tick, right?
Cool.
So 1,000 of those things for 58 ticks. I mean, you're talking, you're done. You can retire now.
Buy your own island. Yeah, I'll tell you,
it's 2.4 mil. Just in case you wanted to know what that is.
Guys, by the way, while we've been on, we are now down 80 handles, and yes. It's kind of really.
This was my plan. We come back on the market dips, and thus is the name of everything we created. We buy it and it goes back up. Watch it.
The ultra is drifting lower too.
Watch the market rally the moment we end the call. It'll be hilarious.
Are we just waiting for plunger to show?
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think happens to TLT and all of them would just rip down, wouldn't they? On the equity side, because they're you raise 100 bips. I mean, bond prices are going to tank because the yield has to catch up.
Yeah.
So I mean, you get short. You get short in the Fed funds. You get short TLT. You get short the ultra, whatever the ultra ETF is. I think what is it? TMS.
TMV, I think.
TMV. You get short those. I mean, that could be a great trade.
I mean, you can do it with equities.
100 bips.
You cannot short leveraged ETFs, and stay liquid. The margin on them is ridiculous. I don't know if you've ever tried to short TLT or TDT or TMF or any of these bond tracking, because you got to remember there's a compression component to it, right? So if those things trade down at the end of the day, whoever's running that bond fund needs to come in and unload ultras on the close, or if we're trading up, they've got to cover shorts. They've got to buy in more bonds to cover that that move. So you just can't short those, especially leveraged ones, especially ones that are 2x and 3x. You just can't do it. At least without a ton of money.
TLT is not leveraged, which is nice. That's the 20-year one.
TBT is, right?
What is it?
TMF. What are all these symbols? Yeah, so like TMF is definitely leverage. It's a 3x bull treasury. It's a $22 stock.
Yeah.
Good luck shorting that thing and not getting margined out to the wazoo. Like, I don't know if Plunger's going to make it.
Crap. It didn't leak. I was going to say, but it does have options.
Yeah, so of course it has options, and of course I know somebody who's got piles of open interest in that in those lines. I just think, again, if you're gonna do it right, if you're gonna trade an option book correctly, you got to be able to be long or short stock. And anytime that you have a interest rate spread that's 15 points, not bips, 15 points, you can't do it, right? Your lend borrow is 1.5 versus 14.9. It's like, how do you trade that? How do you even build that into your pricing model? I don't know. I've spent way too much time looking at these things. I think there's a trade there. I just don't have the capital to do it.
I mean, I would agree there is a trade there. It's very capital intensive. Yeah, I don't think Plungy's gonna make it. Anyone want to take any odds on Ukraine war?
You know, I have some thoughts on it. I've been following it pretty closely. You know, I think that actually Dopey Joe took a few steps in organizing NATO ahead of time that caught our friend Vlad a little off step. So, you know, he's still a threat, and he's looking to get something out of this. The headlines, I mean, I encourage people to not pay attention to any of the headlines, because the headlines are just bullshit. You know, troop movements, they're pulling troops out, you know, it's just a bunch of noise and bullshit. You know, what I said months ago to a group of guys that I deal with is that I thought that there'd be some limited, incursions into Donbas. That is, that the little green men that are there would become Russian troops. That I wouldn't be surprised at. But I think that that NATO writ large and Biden in particular has kind of actually caught Vlad a little off guard. Vlad did not think that NATO would be able to get its shit together so quickly. What that means, I have no clue. But that's where it stands. It's unclear why Vlad was looking to do this at this time, other than he thought that NATO was wrong-footed. So I think that's the bottom line. Don't pay attention to headlines, though. If you look at the fucking headlines that come out, and the other thing is, if you're interested in knowing what happens in Ukraine, you got to get up a lot earlier. You got to be up for the European Open, because that's when the news is going to hit. It's going to hit at 2 a.m. Eastern or 1 a.m. Central, and that's what you have to be aware of. Otherwise, if you're trading U.S. session and coming in for a U.S. Open session, fuck, it's already happened by the time you get in front of you. Even when I get up at 4:30 a.m. Eastern, the trade's over. Trade's over. You're just chasing it. So you're better off just putting your hands behind your head and watching it. Don't try to get it involved.
Yeah, I think at this point it's either a back.
Breaking up, Buck. You're freezing up, breaking up. Pay for decent internet, Buck. I can see that. I can see Lefty. He's crystal clear, and you are just fuzz frozen, right, Lefty?
Yeah, it's pretty sad right now. I mean, he's driving the ship. I mean, I'm not surprised we haven't hit an iceberg yet.
Buck the U.S. Titanic.
Yeah, he's going to kill the stream here in a second because he can't figure out how to reboot it. I think you're right, Bob. I think the headlines are BS right now. I think the whole narrative around mainstream media has collapsed, and I think you're watching in real time as we try and figure out what to do next. I'm trying to figure out how to. Yep, there he goes.
Bye, Buck.
I'm sure he'll come back. I'm not in charge, though. I'm sure. I mean, again, I think there's something like we've got to figure out how to make media credible in some capacity. The best tweet of the day was if you stop listening to the news for 90 days, all your problems disappear. It's like, yeah, you're right, kind of. Lewis,
I have to concur.
Lewis, I see you still chiming away, man, and I appreciate it. Like a difference of opinion, and I would trade my book, and you could trade your book, and we could both make money. That's the cool thing. I student of the markets, man. I studied Volcker, and I loved Greeny, and I thought Bernanke was a special individual. But all in, I just I cannot see a 1% move.
I mean, Paul Volcker, in your opinion, could Paul Volcker even exist at this point in time?
No.
I agree.
Actually, I'm not sure Greenspan could either.
What are your just quickly, if you could just give me your thoughts on Greenspan, because I have definitive thoughts on him. They're not rosy.
I really think that if you go back to his irrational exuberance and his green shoots comment, I think that is the epitome of who Greeny was. I think he was in football, they often talk about recruits. You're either a monster or you're a tactician. You're either the biggest guy on the field and no one can stop you, or you just have the best form that no one can get around you. He was the latter. He was a tactician. He used his words well. He communicated directly. He had great friends in high places. And that's it. That's how that man worked. I thought he did a really good job. Not great, but in hindsight, we're going to look back and say he was one of the best Fed presidents we ever had, unfortunately. And I would argue that we'll look back and say Clinton was one of the best presidents too, even though the guy was crooked as the day is long, and the body count is even longer. But
well, the sexual peccadillos are really the issue there.
Yeah,
that's a far more interesting ball of wax.
Something's going on out there, by the way. The long end's starting to catch a pretty significant bid.
And we're still down. I've got us down 83 handles. And
since we started.
No. Let's see. Let's see. If I go back to 2 o'clock, hang on. Let me just go back to 2 o'clock. But we're down. Well, but almost 40 handles since then.
I would not want to go home short gamma tonight.
I mean, I got to tell you, Lefty, I kind of alluded to it earlier, but my trades have been very the way I've been traded this entire week has been tactical. I mean, I think I have 3 trades today, and that would be so unusual for me.
I mean, I've got 3 trades since we started, Bob.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm sitting back, like, my book. I've already booked a nice gain for today, and I'm not going to chase something. I'm not going to try to outthink it because it's a mess right now, and it's a game. This is a game.
No, you're 100% right. I don't want to go home short gamma, and I don't want to go home long or short any specific contract right now. If I had to, and I understand I am predisposed from my training to be a long vol trader. I would go home small meat, short, small 30 delta calls and puts, but I would be net long gamma. So there you go. I think the geopolitical risk is way too big. I think your Monday morning attack, your Monday, right, closing ceremonies on Sunday night, Russia's not going to piss off their trading partner China by ruining their games, by preempting the closing ceremonies. They're going to let closing ceremonies go off without a hitch. And if something's going to happen, I would look for Monday. So there's my call.
Well, now Monday, are the U.S. equity markets closed?
No, they've got the abbreviated session, right?
Oh, is that what it is? I don't know. I haven't even looked.
No, yeah, I don't know exactly either.
But that may impact. That's what I was looking for tomorrow to be a hell of a day, in terms of position. Now I have heard through my channels that a bunch of big hitters have literally walked away from their computers this week and said it's just not worth trading right now. So I don't know. So I will. I'm going to just play close to the vest. It doesn't look like Muck's coming back, Lefty. You and I could hang out here for hours and shoot.
We definitely could. We'll have to do it again. We'll have to get it on the calendar. This was fun. Oh my goodness! Just as we say he's dead, he reemerges.
But he's still frozen.
He's
still pay the bill.
Hey, look at it. Sometimes your internet just runs you, and that's what it does. I turned it off and turned it back on again. I have been meaning to look at better internet. So, well, not better, just more expensive bandwidth. So I'll get that done by next time we're on. So, it's good.
All right. Well, gentlemen, that was a good hour. We missed Plunger. Next time I will come with a pre-approved set of topics I want to talk to everybody about. And I'll try and have a little bit more gray. I'll stop the just for men stuff so that Bob and I can look similar.
That's a big task. Big task. Anyway, thanks, Buck.
Yeah, dude, and let's grab a couple extra friends and pull them in for like 5 minutes and let them have their piece. I'd love to hear Lewis give me his verbal excuses why he wants a 1% rate. I'd like to pull LaShawn in and have him talk about anything having to do with Vegas. I would like to pull ZR in. I will send you a camera. I don't care. I will steal it from my son's computer and I will mail it to you. But yeah, I'd love to see that. Also, for what it's worth, right here with the bonds at 152 and the ultras at 181, the ultra is oversold. All righty, put that on 3-2. Night, guys.
Well, see you guys later.